Towns, traders and craftsmen. During the medieval period, a large number of new towns developed in different parts of India. There were court towns, trading towns, pilgrimage centers, ports, and various other types of towns. Sometimes, many towns combined several functions. They were administrative centers, temple towns, as well as centers of commercial activities and craft production. Throughout history, they served as centers of culture and civilization. In this lesson, we shall study a variety of urban centers. Capital cities. Capital cities are the court towns and the official seat of the government in a political entity. During this period, a number of medieval Indian cities emerged. They are Delhi, Kannauj, Ajmer, etc. under the Rajputs, Badami and Ellora under the Pallavas, and Agra and Fatehpur Sikri under the Mughals. Nobles, officials, royal attendants, scholars, and artists settled in these cities to serve the rulers. Their needs created a demand for goods such as silk, fine ornaments, and decorative items. Large number of masons and sculptors were employed to build public places and monuments. All this led to rapid urbanization at these places. Pilgrimage centers. In the medieval period, many pilgrimage centers emerged. People believed that visiting these pilgrimage centers washed away all their sins. There were different pilgrimage centers for Hindus and Muslims. The temple authorities often received land grants in which they could collect taxes. They also received huge donations from devotees. Thus, temples like Somnath became storehouses of wealth. This wealth was used for performing elaborate rituals, organizing fairs and festivals. Large number of merchants, craftsmen, and other professionals settled in these areas around the temples. They catered to the needs of local residents and of visiting pilgrims. Since ancient times, towns developed at places of pilgrimage such as Prayag, Allahabad, Kashi, Varanasi, Vrindavan near Mathura, and Pushkar near Ajmer. Settlements also developed near the shrines of Sufi saints. For example, in Ajmer, settlements grew around the Dargah of Saint Khwaja Muinuddin Chishti. The town of Amritsar developed around the Sikh shrine Harmandir Sahib. The Hindus had 4 important religious sites, namely Kedarnath, Badrinath, Gangotri, and Yamunotri. These 4 places are together called Char Dham. It is believed that traveling to these places leads to moksha or release from the cycle of birth and rebirth. Similarly, in Muslims, Hajj is the pilgrimage to Makkah. Every Muslim is obliged to undertake a Hajj at least once in a lifetime. Commercial centers. Busy urban centers developed along important trade routes. Mughal Emperor Jahangir and his successors allowed European traders to establish trade settlements at various places including Surat, Masulipatnam, and Calcutta, Kolkata. Sometimes, a town developed out of a large village. Buyers and sellers gathered here to trade. The items of trade included saffron, spices, salt, horses, and cattle. Merchants had to pay taxes on their goods to local samantas or religious authorities. Among the fairs that are still famous are the ones held at Pushkar in Rajasthan and Sonpur in Bihar. Port towns. A port is a place where ships load and unload their goods. They are situated near the sea or ocean. In the medieval period, maritime trade and commerce developed well with the development of various seaports. Among the flourishing ports were Surat, Bharuch, and Cambay in Gujarat, Dabhol and Baikal in the Konkan coast, Calicut and Cochin on the Malabar coast, and Masulipatnam, Sonargaon, and Chittagong on the eastern coast. Mostly foreign traders settled in these ports. Accounts of foreign travelers contain description of the goods sold in the market. India was famous for the textiles, which formed the chief item of export. Textiles from Gujarat were exported to Arab countries and in Southeast Asia. Indian arts and crafts were patronized by Indian rulers. They were unmatched for their beauty and quality and were popular in the European countries. India also imported goods from foreign countries. The chief items of export were dry fruits and glassware from Europe, horses from Kabul, textiles like satin from West Asia, and porcelain, silk from China. Merchant guilds. Merchants dealing in the same kind of goods formed guilds. Every guild laid down strict rules for its members and protected their interests. The guilds controlled the prices, quality, and distribution of goods. The use of hundis, bills of exchange, made long-distance travel trade safe. Before traveling to distant places, merchants would deposit money to sharafs, money changers, and receive hundis. After reaching their destination, the merchants received their money on producing the hundis. Hampi, a case study. Hampi was the capital city of Vijayanagar Empire, which lay on the banks of river Tungabhadra in Karnataka. Vijayanagar was the center of the largest and most powerful kingdoms of South India. It reached the peak of its glory under Raja Krishnadev Rai. Some of the foreign travelers who visited India during this period were Niccolo Conti from Italy, Abdur Razzaq from Persia, and Domingos Pius from Portugal. According to their description, the city was well fortified. It was naturally protected by rocky ridges and the river Tungabhadra. The monolithic sculptures and monuments along the temples are attractive because of their excellent workmanship. The architecture found at Hampi reflects the Hindu culture and splendor of Vijayanagar Empire. The Vithala temple, which is one of the most splendid temples, is situated on the bank of river Tungabhadra. It is known for its carvings that decorate them. This temple was built during the rule of King Devrai II. The Virupaksha or the Pampapathi temple is the main center of pilgrimage at Hampi. This temple is in ruins, but people still worship Lord Shiva here. The temple was renovated by Raja Krishnadev Rai. The temple has several mandapas with paintings on the walls. The Karnataka government organizes Vijayanagar festival in December every year. The temples were also considered as cultural centers that promoted sculpture, painting, dance, literature, and devotional music. The remains of rows of shops on either side of the road leading to the temple suggest that temples were possibly a center of commerce as well. The glory of Vijayanagar came to an end in 1565 CE when its rulers were defeated in battle by the combined forces of Bijapur, Golconda, and Ahmednagar. The city was plundered and destroyed. Masulipattnam. It developed as a port city on the Coromandel coast in the delta of River Krishna. Masulipattnam was known for the production of dyed cotton cloth known as chintz in Europe. Designs in colored dyes were painted onto the cloth using a bamboo kalam, pen. This technique is called kalamkari. This kind of cloth had a ready market in West Asia and Europe. Hence, foreign and local merchants competed for control over trade in this cloth. The place derived its name from the construction of a gateway to the town decorated with eyes of fish. It was a flourishing seaport during the Satvahana rule. It is also one of the earliest known British settlements in Indian subcontinent. It was British East India Company's first trading port on the Coromandel coast. In the 17th century, the Dutch, the English, and the French established trade settlement in Masulipattnam. Afterwards, Bombay, Madras, Calcutta emerged as important centers of European trade. Many merchants moved out of Masulipattnam and the city declined. Surat. Surat is a port city situated on the left bank of the Tapti River in the state of Gujarat. It became India's chief port under the Mughals and is where the British gained their first hold along the western coast of India. Surat was an important center of the textile trade. Apart from British, French, Portuguese and Dutch also established factories in Surat. Surat eclipsed Cambay as the major port of Western India. It became famous as a major trade center of India during the reign of Mughal emperors. Surat is now the heart of India's thriving diamond polishing industry. Surat has also now emerged as an industrial hub for the production of synthetic fibers and man-made fabrics. Because of its importance in textile industry, Surat has been called the Manchester of the East. Since British times, Surat also had a flourishing shipbuilding industry. Surat's ships were believed to rival European ships in quality. During the Mughal period, pilgrims sailed to Mecca from the port of Surat. Surat lost its importance after Bombay became the chief center of overseas trade with Europe. Indian crafts and craftsmen. In the 16th and 17th centuries, European countries were searching for spices and textiles, which had become popular both in Europe and West Asia. The English, Dutch, and French formed East India companies in order to expand their commercial activities in the East. Initially, great Indian traders like Mullah Abdul Ghaffur and Virji Vora, who owned a large number of ships, competed with them. However, the European companies used their naval power to gain control of the sea trade and forced Indian traders to work as their agents. Finally, the British emerged as the most successful commercial and political power in the subcontinent. The increase in demand for textiles goods led to a great expansion of the crafts of spinning, weaving, bleaching and dyeing. More and more people started taking them up. Yet, this period also saw the decline of the independence of craftsperson. They began to work on the systems of advances, which meant that they had to weave cloth which was already promised to European agents. Weavers no longer had the liberty to sell their own cloth. They had to reproduce the designs supplied to them by the company agents. Trivia. Ujjain is also considered as an important pilgrimage center in India. Ujjain stands at the bank of river Shipra. Kumbh Mela is held here. Mahakala temple of Shiva here is one of the 12 Jyotirlingas. Trivia. According to the mythological epic Ramayana, Lord Ram and his brother had visited which region while looking for Ram's wife Sita? They visited this region to seek help from Vali and Sugriv, two monkey brothers who ruled the region. Due to such mythological references, this place was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Trivia. During the reign of Akbar, there was a small village named Sultanate where Kolkata stands now. City of Joy, Calcutta, now Kolkata, was founded by Job Chenok on August 24, 1690. Being near the mouth of two great rivers, Ganga and Brahmaputra, Calcutta was ideally suited to be a thriving trading center. Trivia. Chittagong today is the second largest city of Bangladesh and a busy international seaport. It was described by the Chinese traveler poet Huinsang, 7th century CE, as a sleeping beauty emerging from mists and water, and was given the title of Porto Grande by the 16th century Portuguese seafarer. Towns, traders and craftsmen. India has a long history of urbanization. During the medieval period, from the 13th to the 16th centuries, popularly known as the Sultanate period, India was prosperous despite of the frequent political upheavals. Many foreign travelers have left behind several accounts. Though a large number of people lived in villages, a notable feature of this period was the growth of towns in various parts of the country. According to Ibn Battuta, a traveler from Morocco who visited India in 14th century, during the Sultanate period, the important centers of trade were Delhi, Lahore, Ahmedabad, Sonargaon, and Jaunpur. This development was the result of the political and economic policies followed by the Turkish and Mughal rulers. Urbanization in Mughal Empire. During the 250 years of Mughal rule, from the 16th to 18th centuries, both long-distance trade with India and with other Asian and European countries flourished. The demand for Indian goods, such as textiles abroad, led to an enormous expansion of textile manufacturing. Towns grew into trade and industrial centers as rulers like Akbar, Jahangir, Shah Jahan, and Aurangzeb supported trading activities and the merchant classes. They removed all obstacles for smooth movement of goods and people. All these brought increased wealth to the urban centers and led to the growth of city population. This in turn led to the general prosperity. During the Mughal rule, the urbanization of India flourished greatly. This period witnessed the growth of stable center and establishment of trade and commerce. There were 120 large cities and 3,000 towns in Akbar's empire. The major urban centers of Mughal period were Delhi, Agra, Lahore, Multan, and Srinagar in the north, Ahmedabad, Surat, Ujjain, and Patan in the west, Sonargaon, Hooghly, Patliputra, Chittagong, and Murshidabad in the east. Administrative centers. There were towns like Delhi, Agra, Lahore, Hyderabad, and Vijayanagar, which were the capitals and administrative centers, as well as manufacturing centers. New towns were established by sultans of Delhi and the rulers of provincial dynasties. Muhammad bin Tughlaq built his capital at Daulatabad. Akbar built Fatehpur Sikri near Agra. The capitals of regional centers like Ahmedabad in Gujarat was built by Sultan Ahmad Shah I. Port cities. India had developed trade and commerce on a large scale in the medieval period. It was surrounded by water bodies on three sides, so various port cities developed both on the eastern and western coasts of India. Vishakhapatnam, Sonargaon near Dhaka, and Masulipattnam on the eastern coast, Mangalore in Malabar, Bhatkal in Karnataka, Khambat, Cambay, and Surat in Gujarat. Goa and Cochin on the western coast had become very important seaports due to the growing trade with many European and African countries. Trading towns. All the capital towns, administrative centers, and port towns were the hub of trading activities. The growth of markets and well-maintained roads encouraged the trade between various parts of the country. Some of the important trading towns were Multan, Lahore, Delhi, Agra, Fatehpur Sikri, Patna, Surat, Balasara, Ahmedabad, Masulipattnam, Ahmednagar, Champaran, Bughanpur, Goa, Daman, Diu, etc. Almost all foreign travelers like Marco Polo, Ibn Battuta, Idrisi, etc. confirmed that Indian merchants were busy in land and sea route trade. A great variety of Indian goods such as cloth, cotton, woolen and silken, and spices, pepper, cinnamon, ginger, etc. had a great demand all over the world. Pilgrimage centers. India is a country where several religions are practiced besides the dominant Hindu religion, and hence several pilgrimage centers sprang up. The major Hindu pilgrimage centers include Haridwar, Badrinath, Kedarnath, Varanasi, Kashi in olden time, Prayag, modern-day Allahabad, Kanchi, Sringeri, Dwarka, Puri, etc. Bodh Gaya, Sarnath, Kushinagar, etc. of Buddhism, Shravan Belagola of Jainism, Amritsar, Nankana Sahib and Patna Sahib of Sikhism are major religious centers. Founded towns. In the Mughal period, a number of new settlements were made. Usually a Jagirdar or a strong and well-known person of an area laid the foundations with the support of the emperor. This is how, with Shah Jahan's support, two Afghan Jagirdar brothers founded the town of Shahjahanpur in Uttar Pradesh. Many such towns like Muradabad, Farrukhabad, and Ghaziabad were founded. People were sometimes forcibly transferred from some areas. Many people moved from villages for better opportunities in new towns. People were often given many concessions to settle in towns. Fatehpur Sikri was built to pay respects to Salim Chishti, who had blessed Emperor Akbar and lived in the village Sikri. It was also to celebrate Akbar's victory in Gujarat. So it is called Fateh. Hampi, Masulipattnam and Surat. Hampi, earlier known as Vijayanagar, lie on the banks of the Tungabhadra River, Karnataka state, which served as the capital of the Vijayanagar Empire. The foundation of Hampi was laid by two local rulers, Harihar and Bukkaraya. Krishnadevaraya of Tuluva dynasty was the greatest ruler of this empire. The site is of interest for its architectural remains, like military fortifications and defensive gateways constructed of massive granite slabs, palace structures, courtly pavilions, and elephant stables, many with Sultanate-style arches, domes, and walled temple complexes with shrines, columned halls or mandapas, and towered gateways or gopurams, and a host of lesser religious structures, and mosques and tombs for the Muslim inhabitants of the city. These features were built of stones, brick, plaster, and wood, but only the masonry portions survived. Some of these have been uncovered in recent excavations. They are distributed over an area of about 25 square kilometers, divided into discrete zones. Walled urban core, in which the bulk of the city's population was located. A smaller walled royal center inside the urban core, containing the principal, ceremonial, and residential structures associated with the Vijayanagar kings. Sacred centers on the southern banks of the Tungabhadra River, including the Virupaksha temple at Hampi and the ruins of other religious complexes like Hazar Rama temple, Lotus Mahal, the 9 feet tall single stone statue of Ganesha, and an irrigated valley wedged between the granite ridges separating the royal sacred centers. Vijayanagar experienced great network of trading with several places such as Persia, Arabia, Africa, Burma, China, etc. The city of Hampi was a growing marketplace for both imports and exports. Masulipattnam, now Machilipatnam, a port town. Machilipatnam, earlier known as Masulipattnam, is located in Andhra Pradesh, 150 km north of Chennai, at the mouth of the Krishna River. It was first a Dutch settlement, surrendering ownership to the English in 1620 AD. It was a major base of operations with strong fortifications. It is a famous port city on the Coromandel coast of India. It is said that Masulipattnam was founded by the trading Arabs in the 14th century, on their way from the Red Sea to southern India. It became a flourishing seaport during the time of Satavahanas. It was under the rule of Hindu king Varangal until it was captured by the Muslim ruler of Odisha in 1478 and by the Vijayanagar rulers in 1589. Masulipattnam was the British East India Company's first trading port on Coromandel coast. The main items of export were textiles, woven carpets, fish and grains. This port city is also known for its kalamkari textiles and printings created by using vegetable dyes. This kalamkari technique got its name from the kalam, the pen-like tool used to draw designs on the cloth, and kari means work. Surat, A trading town. The port city of Surat is situated in the state of Gujarat and is an administrative headquarter of Surat district. It was founded by a Hindu Brahmin called Gopi in 1516. The city was attacked by several people, such as Muslim rulers, Portuguese, Mughals, and Marathas, from the 12th to the 15th centuries. After Bengal and Gujarat, Surat came under control of Mughals in 1573. Cambay was the major port of Gujarat till the 15th century. However, Surat turned out to be the main seaport by the end of the 15th century. It emerged as one of the most prominent commercial cities of India in 15th century. Many merchants traded with other countries from Surat. The main things that were exported from Surat were cotton textiles, especially those with gold lace borders called zari, had become quite famous and had been a great demand all over the world. By the 16th century, Portuguese controlled trade from Surat. In 1612, the British defeated them. The British East India Company established its first Indian factory at Surat in 1613. The importance of Surat started declining after 1668, as Bombay replaced Surat as the seat of presidency of the British East India Company. Surat has recently emerged as a great centre of diamond cutting and polishing. Traders and craftsmen. Both the traders and craftsmen have a great part to play in the economic activities of the country. Indian craftsmen were perfect masters of producing articles of different kinds, and that too of good quality. They were perfect masters in the field of textile industry, and their cotton, woolen and silk cloth had no comparison in the world. Indian craftsmen had great mastery over the manufacture of both leather and leather goods. Marco Polo had written, "Beautiful mats in red and blue leather, and inlaid with figures of birds and beasts, and skillfully embroidered with gold and silver wires, were quite exquisite." The art of making metals was pursued with great success during their period, 800 to 1707. Both the blacksmiths and goldsmiths produced the most fascinating quality. The Indian traders took these manufactured goods, as well as agricultural goods like spices, to distant lands and helped India to become rich. Both the Indian craftsmen and traders had organized themselves into their own guilds, which not only helped them in times of need, but also helped them to produce different articles of good quality, so that no country could match them in the field of internal and external trade.